Hey everybody, it's Paul here, and today I have a special guest and a good friend of mine, Josh Lackey. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Just give them a little bit of a lowdown of who you are, how old you are, whether you have a family, where you work, and all that kind of basic information.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you having me on and getting the chance to talk to you today. As Paul said, my name is Josh Lackey. I am 42 years old, almost 43. And like Paul, I live here in Georgetown, Ontario. Um, I am relatively new to investing, having only been in the market for about 5 years now, maybe not even. Um, but I do have a family. I do work full time, and my income from working is the main source of me continuing to fuel my investments.
All right. So Josh, you and I go back now to about 2020 when we first met. We have some mutual friends. We were hanging out at some parties together, and I think you overheard me and some other guys talking about stocks,
Yep.
and you became curious about it. So that's how well we kind of created something called chicken wings and beer investing. Why don't you explain to them how that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we were at a party of mutual friends of ours, and they were sitting around the table with some drinks and some music going, talking about what they were investing in, where they were going next with their planning, comparing when they got in with on prices on certain things. And I overheard and trying to just make conversation. I started asking questions about, what are you guys talking about? I have or did have very little familiarity with the stock market, what products were offered. I had previous some investments from previous jobs I've had in locked in retirement savings accounts and whatever. But yeah, Paul was very passionate, very as you know. Very keen on spreading knowledge and introducing people to the world. So yeah, we talked about having some chicken wings. I fed Paul well, and he started with some recommendations, and that night was the first time I actually launched my self-directed investing with Wealthsimple.
Yeah, so Josh and his fiance Jen invited me over for some chicken wings and beer. They asked if I'd be interested to come over and talk about stocks.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, three of my favorite things. So we decided to get together, and they graciously treated me to some chicken wings and beer, and we discussed stocks. Now, up until that point in time, Josh did not have a tax-free savings account,
Mm-hmm.
which unfortunately many Canadians don't have or
True.
don't use properly, or if they do use them, they're really underusing them, meaning that they're not maxing them out to the best, well, to the max, to the limit that they're allowed. But anyway, so in December of 2021, we did get together. And that's why we're doing the video here, because this is where we sat down and we discussed. So Josh opened up his Wealthsimple account within, I think, a few days,
Yep.
funded it with $5,000 and started his investment journey. So what did you invest in?
So I think when we first sat down, you brought a list of some things that you would recommend for people who didn't maybe have a lot of experience. I believe it was a mix of, split cores, ETFs, and some REITs as well back then. So I started off with a bit invested across those different offerings. I remember talking about, FTN, DFN, GDS, a bunch of other ones. And then for the REITs, I remember doing INO, TNT, and SGR, I think were what we originally invested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that $5,000, I just kind of spread haphazardly around those different products and started watching dividends come in.
Yeah, I think what they call like the gunshot or the shotgun approach,
Yes,
right?
accuracy by
So
volume.
yeah, I kind of suggested about 10 different things they could invest in. And I think Josh really liked the thought of putting his money in and then starting to receive dividends and
Mm-hmm.
getting paid, and eventually someday being able to live off of that passive income, which was enticing to me as well, and Josh and his fiance. Um, Now, down the road, you added some positions to your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said you mentioned FFN, SVOL, CLM, HYLD, YMAX, YTSL.
Yep. Yep.
As the market evolved and changed, Josh and myself both were adding
Mhm.
to our portfolios, adding new positions, but then also selling off some positions. Do you recall some of the ones you sold off?
Yeah. So I have since then sold off many of my split corps. I'm completely out of all of the REITs, which I think is a good thing given their performance. But I definitely did try to evolve. I've got Paul here as my personal news ticker on what new products are coming out. I remember adding in HYLD, starting to get some more U.S. stock exposure, like you said, with the SVOL, and I think AIPI at some point as well. I started to add in, and really, I think Paul, you hit it on the head. I like the idea of income being generated from my investments. I really like the idea of having some cash to play with, to buy new things.
Mhm.
And I think part of the reason that I never had a TFSA, that I have started my investment journey late, is that I've never really been enamored with the idea of buying something, a stock or an ETF or whatever, and just kind of not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Watching it grow is fun and everything, and I totally understand that approach. But the fact that these things would allow me to have some money to play with and to buy new things or to reinvest definitely has made investing a lot easier for me.
All right, let's take a step backwards. So now you open up your TFSA, you put some money into it,
Mm-hmm.
$5,000.
Yep.
And basically, one of the reasons why we're meeting today is because Josh has got his Wealthsimple account from zero to now $100,000. Obviously, he didn't do that with just 5,000. So, did you set up some sort of a plan? Do you invest weekly, monthly, annually? How did you make your portfolio grow?
So after the $5,000 initial investment, I did have a savings account which had maybe ten or $15,000 in it that was just sitting there, kind of earning piddly interest. Once I became comfortable with Wealthsimple and the idea of investing, and my money didn't poof disappear, I moved that savings account into my TFSA as well, and then along with just whenever I've got a little extra cash, a few bucks here and there, putting that in. I also have a automatic withdrawal set up to move $150 into the account automatically every time I get paid, which is biweekly.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't heard of this concept yet, paying yourself first is definitely the way to go, right? If you're, well, at any age, so if you're working, you're still accumulating a portfolio, or sorry, you're still accumulating your, geez, I'm lost for words here. You're still accumulating your wealth,
Mhm,
okay? Set up an automatic payment just like you would your car payment or your cell phone bill. Pay
mhm,
yourself first every time you get paid at work, and then that way it's automatic and you don't have to, think about it. You don't have to worry about it. It just happens. And you are the most important person in your life. So you should be
mhm,
paying yourself first before you worry about, what kind of car you drive or, spending your money on other things.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't like spending money very much. I don't usually go on vacations. I don't have expensive taste. I don't generally collect too many things or sink money into a lot of subscriptions or anything like that. So I do have two children, which of course will take its toll on how much disposable income one has. But I also contribute to their RESPs. And I also have a pension plan through work, which I contribute the max to for matching purposes. But yeah, making sure that,
excuse me.
yeah, you're right though. Making sure that you pay yourself first and getting money into those accounts, the sooner the better, and as much as you can comfortably, of course, has been very important for me.
Yeah. Now, why don't we just touch on quickly the hot topic of the day is, of course, on Josh and I are both on Blossom, and everybody's been debating recently whether you should be in growth or you should be an income investor, although there are other types of investing as well.
Mhm.
Um, People seem to really look down on our type of income investing, covered call investing. So, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I've been a fan of covered call ETFs since they made their way into my portfolio. Obviously, Paul and I talk stocks uh, anytime we see each other, which is at least a few times a month. Generally, we're getting
Yeah.
together. Last night we watched the Blue Jays. Unfortunately, take the L
Yeah.
in the World Series, but still, even commercial breaks and whatever, we're pulling out our phones, checking our investments, comparing all kinds of things like that. And since getting, but more to the point, getting into covered calls, I have noticed a big boost to my income since that. Now I do have some growth stocks in my portfolio. I have a small RRSP account in my Wealthsimple, but the TFSA makes up the bulk of it. Um, but having the covered call to generate the income, or the different dividend ETFs to generate that income, is really what makes investing attractive.
Yeah. Now we have spoken about the fact that you did decide to become more of a hybrid
Mm-hmm.
investor, as you are what, about 10 years younger than I am. So you still, you still have quite a bit more time to accumulate your wealth
Mm-hmm.
before you decide to retire.
Yeah.
So what did you decide to invest in as a hybrid investor for your growth position?
So once I started looking online at financial related topics, Reddit seemed to suggest for me the sub of just buy XEQT. So that was my first exposure to what people would call them a long-term hold and grow stock, or ETF. So I have slowly been building XEQT into my portfolio, into my TFSA, as an option to continue to grow that value over time. In my small RSP account of Wealthsimple, I have about 50% in FEQT and XEQT, but in my TFSA, it's about 10%.
Yeah. So, guys, as much as Josh stabbed me in the heart when he had it, I'm just kidding. I love XEQT. I have my own kids buying it as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I think honestly, Josh, I mean, sometimes I get a little bit hyper focused on covered call ETFs and income, but I think being a smart guy, he realized that he needed some growth in his portfolio as well, and he probably chose one of the best that you can pick in XEQT. I guess he could have went with VFE or a combination of the both, but
It's still on the radar.
yeah, but anyways, with XEQT having over 8,000 companies in it, plus global
Mm-hmm.
diversification and low fees, he's not going to go wrong with that. And honestly, I'd encourage him to probably bring it up to, even up to 50% of his portfolio, over the next few years, and let that ride until he retires, and he'll do quite well. I have another question for you. So recently, Harvest and Evolve have come out with some new ETFs like HHIS and Biggie. How do you feel about those? Are you investing in them?
Yeah, when HHIS came out, you and I were talking about it. I'd considered it. I'd owned already some of the Harvest covered call ETFs that HHIS is comprised of, and I thought that sounds wonderful. I'm very happy to own HHIS with the various things that are in it, rather than holding a single company covered call ETFs. I like diversification. I like that it's all in one. I like that if one shoots up or if one shoots down, there's some hedging going on there.
Yeah,
And then more recently, with Biggie coming out, I have also picked up a bunch of that. And that is one of the things that I am currently spending my monthly dividends on.
yeah, Biggie, and I think you mentioned you got Canny as well.
Yep. Candy I hold in the RSP.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Josh, but it just blows my mind at how fast these companies are now producing these ETFs. It's hard to keep up,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the fund of funds because it makes it a little bit easier. Instead of trying to buy 8 or 9 different, single
Mm-hmm.
stock ETFs, you can just pick one and have all of them.
Yep.
What else have we not covered?
Yeah.
I know what I was going to ask you.
Oh.
Give me a sec.
Yep. Sure.
Got some more questions. So, Josh, if you were going to start over today, if you had nothing in your TFSA and you were going to
Okay.
start all over today, would you do it differently?
I
What would
don't
you do differently?
I don't think I would really do much differently. I like that I started with dividend and income oriented holdings. I really think that like I said before, that's something that made investing attractive to me. I
That
think,
dopamine hit, right?
oh yeah,
When
it's
you get
great.
your distributions every month.
Yep. So I definitely wouldn't change much about my approach. I would put most of any future investments into income generating funds, and I would balance to some small degree with a bit of growth on the other side.
Yeah, good answer. Now I got a question for you. Approximately how many positions do you have in your portfolio?
I've got about 25, I think, right now. I'm comfortable in that number. That number isn't something that I put wrote down as a goal. I would be fine having 10. I'd be fine having 50. It really doesn't matter too much to me. I have bought and added positions to the funds or into the accounts as I've gone in, as we've talked about it, as there's been new offerings. But I've also sold a few as well, gotten out of positions, sold some at a profit. And I still hold things that are very much in the red, like MSDE, which I know is a
Yeah,
pain point for all of us right now.
yeah. It's going to come back. I think it's going to come back. Knock on wood. Okay, so that leads me into a couple other questions. So when you decide to sell, like what factors do you consider when you're going to sell a position?
So if I'm trying to free up some extra cash because of a good buying opportunity,
Hmm.
that is when I may lock in some realized grow or realized return on something I'm selling. I will generally sell something that I want if I want to buy something that which has going to have a higher yield.
Okay.
So yeah, when Harvest came out with C Day, S Day, Q Day,
Hamilton.
sorry, yes,
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
When Hamilton came out with S Day, Q Day, C Day, I really liked the bi-weekly aspect of it. I
Yeah.
liked the getting in on the ground floor there. So I did sell a few things. I think I culled some more HYLD at a pretty good profit in order to free up some cash there and really pump up that dividend number.
Yeah.
I like that.
Now I know you got rid of. I mean, Josh and I talk a lot, so I know some of the answers to some of these questions. But for those of you who don't, both of us more or less got out of split corps, like DFN and LBS and GDV and such. And I know there are a lot of people who are still invested in them. They're not bad investments, but why did you per se sell them?
Yeah, so I mean, I was up on many of them all time, although not too much. But I think they were paying 10 cents a share, a lot of them,
Hmm.
and that return or that dividend is just not it's not keeping up with some of the current offerings. So now that we've got things that are paying 25, 30, 30+% yields, I do want to own some of those too. Now I still have a couple split corps in my holdings. There's nothing wrong with them. I don't plan on selling them anytime soon, just because they are what they are. But I do like to be diversified. I like to have some really aggressive stuff. I have Ulti, I have MSDE, I have all of these. Some or a few of these very aggressive ones, but I like to chill too. I like to feel safe. I like to be diversified, and I like knowing that I own different sectors, different countries,
Yep.
and it really allows me a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah, you mentioned Alti, and we could definitely probably make an entire video just talking about Alti.
Mm-hmm.
But now Josh didn't mention it, but both of us got burned when I think FFN cut their distribution for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's when we realized that maybe we had put a little too much money into some of the split corps
Mm-hmm.
that could potentially, you know, pause their distributions. Because of the net asset value rules in their management,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't really like that so much. So I think we both got a little bit away away from split corps because of that risk.
True. Yep.
So the next question I was going to ask you, Josh, is do you have a certain percentage that you like to allocate towards each position? Do you have a limit, or how do you manage your portfolio?
I like to keep things relatively well balanced. I don't like to be over represented in any one position. Generally, when I'm buying things that I own only a few percent of my portfolio in.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, as I mentioned earlier, I've started buying Biggie. So I'm going to continue to add to that position until it gets somewhere between probably 5 to 7%
Okay.
of my portfolio. But really, I'll also buy something if it's on sale. I'll add to a position based on whether it is in the green or in the red for me. So I do like to add to positions that I'm a little bit in the red on.
Yep.
I don't really love adding to positions that I'm very far in the red. I know that's a big sale, but I like to go right around where I'm even.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Future goals. What are some of your future goals now that you've been investing for what, 4 years?
Yeah, it's getting to be that point. I would really like to see my monthly income match my work income.
Oh, that'd be
Uh,
nice.
yeah, I think I am about 20% of the way there right now.
Okay.
But if the projections of Wealthsimple and what I'm able to put into my account hold true, and given that the market doesn't have some kind of a horrendous crash in the next bunch of years, I'm thinking that I might be able to get there in the next 5 to 7 years.
Nice. Are you willing to share how much you're making on a monthly basis?
Yeah, I get paid biweekly, so there
No, I
are.
mean I mean from your tax-free savings account.
Oh yeah, so right now I am at about about 1,600
Nice.
per month on my dividends. There will be more because I have recently moved a bunch of money from another account into my Wealthsimple RRSP.
Yeah.
So I haven't recalculated with that distribution how much I will be, but from my TFSA alone, I'm around 1,600 per month.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, right on. And so after the discussion we've had so far today, what percentage of your portfolio do you think you're going to allocate towards growth now? What's your goal? What are you trying to? I know you've been buying a
Sure.
lot of XEQT recently.
Yep.
So what are you trying to get it up to?
I wouldn't mind XEQT representing somewhere between 20 to 30 maybe percent of my portfolio in my TFSA. In my RSP, I'll like to keep it higher than that, maybe 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
But again, I still like to see some money rolling in and give me some buying power.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about the income oriented investing strategy is, like I've said before, I like that I don't have to sell something to make money.
Right.
I like that there's money rolling in that I get to play with, that I
Yeah.
can keep buying, and some of the dividends that I get in, maybe I'll buy a couple XEQT here and there, especially on a down day.
Yeah, that's one thing I've talked about in a couple of videos where somebody's mentioned that why get paid a distribution when the fund company could just reinvest it and let the ETF grow. But we have options, right? When we get our distributions every month, if I own HYLD, but I want to buy, say, HHIS, I can use the dividends from one to buy the other. Or if, like Josh, you want to put money into XEQT, which don't tell anybody, but I think come January, I'm going to start buying some more of.
Shocker.
Yeah, I think I'm going to add some next year. What I typically do is I'll buy XEQT until the whole market goes on sale, and then I end up selling it and buying other covered call ETFs. But I think I'm going to start growing that position again.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely we have options with our distributions, and even as like I'm doing, you can always pull a portion out. You could take some of your distributions, spend the money, and reinvest the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one more question for you, Josh. If you were going to, have a night with somebody, chicken wings and beer, and talk stocks to say somebody in their 20s, what would you tell them to do?
I would probably recommend to put your money into a fund like XEQT, where you've got lots of time. I mean, nothing's guaranteed in life. That's pretty much as close to a guarantee as of a long-term return as you could possibly bet on. I don't think, I mean, like we said, I am probably somewhere between 12 to 15 years away from retirement.
Hmm.
But I really like having money in my account that kind of just shows up every month. So that's why I do the hybrid thing. But for a 20-year-old, I don't think, I think the long-term performance of the market has borne itself out over the last 10, 15, 20 years to the point where you can just set it and forget it at that age.
Yeah. So take advantage of your registered accounts, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
TFSA, your first home savings account,
Mm-hmm.
your RSPs, but just start investing in growth at a young age, and you'll be much better off by the time you get to be old like us.
Yeah, and educate yourself as to the different funds and tax advantage accounts that are out there. I didn't start my TFSA until I was in my late 30s because it's just not, it was not a priority for me. I wasn't incredibly financially literate. Not to say that I am now, but I'm better. But the continuous improvement journey is one that I think we can all get behind.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I don't talk about too often is I would highly recommend not just watching YouTube videos, but read a few books, right? When I was younger, I read The Wealthy Barber, which I think is still relevant today. Just substitute his recommendation on mutual funds for something like XEQT. And the book is very relevant. And there's so many other books to read. The Psychology of Money, for another example, I read The Millionaire Next Door was a good book. You have to understand money. If you don't understand money, then you'll never have any of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand money that well. I think reading a couple books is something that I'd like to do in the next couple of years, and further educate myself on the philosophy behind economics, behind the stock market. Really understand where that money is and what it represents and where it's going. So yeah, definitely an exciting thing in the future if you're not already well versed in that field.
Yeah. Well, Josh, I want to thank you. By the way, just in case anybody hadn't noticed, Josh is the first guest ever on our show. And a reminder that this is not financial advice. Josh and I are just a couple of average Canadians who are saving for our retirements, or I'm in retirement, but we're just doing the best that we can and sharing our journeys with you. But this is not financial advice. So please make sure you do your own due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh, why don't you tell them what's your handle on Blossom?
Oh yeah, so I'm Joshua Lackey. You can probably find me. I think it's Hack with Me because I used to be a semi-professional hacky sacker.
There you go.
But the name has stuck, and I've carried with me across different platforms. So yeah, I'm Hack with Me, Joshua Lackey, and you'll see my shining face on my profile picture, so I'm hard to miss.
Yeah, and I'll put a link to Blossom in the comments below. But other than that, until tomorrow, bye for now.
Thanks all.